Well, we just finished our 21 days of prayer and fasting. That was today. Did anybody hear from the Lord over the course of the last 21 days? Anybody got some direction? Anything? A few nodding heads. Okay, good. We'll continue to pray. I know some of you have asked if we're going to continue to do the daily lives that we do in the mornings, and we're not. Okay, so I know you're sad and heartbroken, all that kind of stuff. But on February 1st, I'm releasing something on Spotify called The Daily Hit. I'm going to post it on our Facebook page, our main page, and then on our Freedom Family page so that you can have access to that. But every morning at 7 a.m., I'm going to drop a brand new 5-minute audio podcast. It's only 5 minutes. And essentially what I do is I tell you this is a Bible verse, and then I basically explain what the Bible verse means and how you can apply it to your life. So every weekday, you're going to get a daily hit. And that's kind of what it's called. It's like you get a hit of coffee, you're going to get a hit of Jesus. You're going to get a hit of the Word in the morning, okay? So please jump in on that. I hope you enjoy that. Share it with your friends and all that kind of stuff. I'm not trying to get famous. I'm trying to help you get deeper in the Word, deeper in your relationship with Jesus Christ, okay? So that's what it's all about. So continue to pray. A friend of mine a while back posted this picture on a social media, and Ryan, I have it, I think, in there. Yeah, here it is. Children are not to be endured. They are to be enjoyed. Where are my parents at? Because doesn't it feel like endurance sometimes? Like, kids, we love y'all. Like we would do anything for y'all. We love you to the ends of the earth. We will give up our food so you can have food. We will give up our bed so you can have bed. Dads and moms will work long hours so that you can have things that we never had. But y'all, can y'all just obey the first time? Like, can we talk about that? And I get a resounding amen from all the parents. Now, this is the thing, is that with kids, they are developing their ability to make good decisions. You know, let's get to the science for a second. There's a frontal lobe in your head right now, and that frontal lobe is not fully developed until you're like in your early 20s. And so, yeah, teenagers, that's why y'all have such a hard time sometimes making good decisions. Why? It's because you have the ability to decide, but you don't have the full complexity of your frontal lobe to help you make a wise decision yet. That's why you need your parents. But let me not pick on the teenagers. I'm going to talk to the adults for just a second. Y'all make some dumb choices too. I'm going to hear you right now. Like, y'all make some really bad decisions too. And so you have your fully developed frontal lobe, but you're using something else. I don't know what you're using inside your brain, but you're like, yeah, I'll do this. But no, it's a terrible decision. So what do? You get people around you. You have friends that love you and love God and know God and have your best interests in mind. You can't let anybody speak into your life, but you can let people speak into you and help you. Sometimes it's hard when it comes to our children because we want to enjoy them, but whenever they start testing us and pushing all the buttons, does your kid know what buttons to push on you? Like, they skip past all the beginner, non-important buttons and go straight to the red one. Ooh, red button. Right, you know? But sometimes parenting can be about endurance. Because you've got to endure to get to the joy, don't you? Okay. You know, Paul said run with endurance. Okay, so I know the Christian life can feel like this sometimes too. Your relationship with God can feel like this. It's like it's just enduring. Trials, they don't just come. They like flood in. You hear what I'm saying? Like when it rains, it pours. Y'all heard that before, right? They can come like 2 and 3 at a time. Situations arise. Problems persist. Then the enemy is attacking you on top of that. And it seems like there's always something in your heart and life to work on. Anybody ever felt like you're just constantly being worked on? As a parent or as a Christian, you're going to have to do some enduring sometimes. But this Christian life is also meant to be enjoyed as well. So you've got to really understand that if you're going to enjoy the Christian life, it's going to take some things. If I'm going to enjoy my kids and not just endure them, then does it mean that obedience would help in that process? I mean, let's talk parents for just a second. Would it be easier on Sunday mornings when you're trying to get your kids dressed if they just said, yes, Daddy, I will put on the shoes, or if they fought with you back and forth 5 times and said, I want to wear the other ones, and they put them on backwards because they refused your help? Come on. What would be easier? Obedience, right? The same thing with Jesus, though. Like, so be careful when you get into that moment where you're trying to endure your kid not doing the right thing, because Jesus may have asked you to do something that you're fronting him on too. You understand what I'm saying? So we got to be sure that if we're going to enjoy the Christian life, that we've got to do the things that are going to help us enjoy the Christian life. If your finances are in shambles right now, you need to ask God to show you what's going on in your finances. Maybe you're not tithing. It ain't about your money. It's about your obedience. Maybe you're spending the other 90% like a moron, and you need to get better about that. Well, every time I buy $400 worth of lotto tickets, I'm going to hit big one. No, that's probably not the best thing to do with your life and your money. So what about your relationships? Are you doing what God's asked you to do in your relationships? I mean, come on. You want the joy that comes with being in God's presence? You want to do the right thing when it comes to dating and relationships, the right thing when it comes to marriage. You want to do all those things. If you want the joy of the Lord, you got to do those things. Don't expect to disobey God and get His joy. What you'll get is moments of endurance, because those moments of endurance are designed to rework what you're doing to get you to the joy spot. But you've got to endure sometimes to help train you that what you're doing is not what you're supposed to be doing. Okay, really quiet, so I'm going to move on. I talked a minute ago about significance. And, a lot of times in life we either struggle, you would do one of three things. You either struggle, you meet your needs, or you're significant. Now, when you struggle, you're just trying to make ends meet. A lot of people are like that. You're just doing what you can, and you can be very interfocused is what I should say. Like, focus on yourself in that moment, because you're just trying to make the ends meet. But then when you begin to, let's take it money, for instance. When you begin to make enough money where you're able to afford the things, kind of live a decent life, well, then that's when you're kind of in your okay, everything's good. I'm cruising along here. But significance is not just when you're able to meet your own needs, but when you're able to meet other people's needs. Okay? That's what God is trying to get us to. Serving is a part of what helps us do that. But it lets us step outside of our own needs, and it meets other people's needs. And it gives us the opportunity to join with God to move the kingdom forward. And so sometimes we have to stop focusing on what we want and what we need and start focusing on what other people need, and that's when we actually experience the joy of the Lord. So let me just give you a life hack right now. If you feel like you are enduring in your relationship right now, stop focusing on what you need and find somebody else's need and try to begin to meet that need, and you'll find joy. Why? It's because that's what Jesus did. Kids, I'm talking to you too. When you're at school, don't be trying to cut line because you're trying to get to the chicken fried steak line before everybody else. Honor God by serving other people. You see somebody's tray there? Why don't you, when you go pick up your tray and take it to the trash can, pick up their tray and take it to the trash can too. See, we can do this in our adult lives and in our kid lives. I want you to enjoy this life with God, and God does too. And that is one reason why He created purpose. Every one of you has a purpose. We all know the official verse of graduation, Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, for welfare, not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. See, He has a plan for you, and that's encouraging. I love that God has a plan for us. But I've found that it isn't discovering the plan that is difficult. It's the expectation of what the plan looks like in real life that's hard. All right, I hear a few, That's because whenever you get this vision of what God's plan is for your life, you get pumped because you start plotting the points. Ooh, and then you find out that 3 steps in, we taking a left. You want to take a left, but God got you taking a right. And then you're trying to get to New York, but God's got you taking a left at Albuquerque, and now all of a sudden you're messed up. God tends to give us just a glimpse of the purpose, and then we have to trust Him for the implementation of that purpose. But between the revelation and the implementation is this thing called expectation. Between the moment God shows us our purpose and the time we get to live out our purpose, there is the whole big, nasty, unknown middle that you haven't been able to figure out. So let's talk for a moment about expectations. I'll tell you what, do this. Touch your neighbor for a second and say, get ready. Now, touch your neighbor and say, go Yankees. How many of you said it? Okay, yes, go Yankees. I've got some new fans. So, y'all know I'm a big fan of the Yankees. Every single time somebody finds this out, though, like Red Sox fans always give me hate. All right, especially, 2004 when they broke the curse. I'll look at them and say, y'all not break the curse. We just let y'all have one. Oh, like they turn as red as their jerseys when I say something like that. When I was living in Longview, it was Rangers country, Rangers fans. And so especially when I worked at ETBU, I had a bunch of Yankees gear on my wall, like memorabilia and stuff. And people would walk in and say, "Hey, the Yankees still stink." And I just look at them and say, "Get a ring." Y'all, God's still working on me. He ain't through with me yet. I was being nasty. I have an expectation, though, of how a conversation is going to go the moment somebody finds out I'm a Yankees fan. Especially down here. Oh, you should be rooting for the Astros. I thought they changed their name to the Cheetahs. I'm a little too big to hide behind this little thing right here, but you know what, though? Guys, listen, we do the same thing with God, okay? God tells us something, and then we have this expectation of how things are going to play out. Sometimes my expectation doesn't work out. Like, for instance, I was in Boston in 2007. I was in the Quincy Market area, which is right in the middle of town. Y'all have heard of Cheers, like the TV show? Sometimes you want to go. Yeah, right. Well, they have a restaurant downtown right there. Faneuil Hall, Quincy Market right there. It's a really fun area, really cool. It's old. I mean, it's just old. And so I was in there. I was actually standing at the thing in the bathroom, and I had I'm an idiot, y'all. I wore a Derek Jeter's jersey just to like jack with people. And so I'm standing there doing my business, and this guy goes, "Hey, are you a Yankees fan?" I was like, "That's it. I'm not even going to get to have kids. I'm going to die right here at a urinal in the Cheers downtown Boston." And I said, yeah. No, I didn't say yeah. I said, "Yeah, I'm a Yankees fan. What's up? What you trying to say?" And he pulled his sleeve up, and he had Jason Giambi's number and the Yankees logo tattooed on his arm. I was like, "Oh, thank you, God. I'll live another day." Now, my expectation was different, but I was expecting something else. I was expecting a bad situation. Look, there's some expectations that we place on God, okay? And those, a lot of times, are not healthy expectations, okay? But there are some expectations that we do need to have when it comes to God. You need to understand that His Word is truth. You need to know that you can count on His Word, and if He says something, you can count on it. And that's what's hard in today's time, is because we can tell somebody something and they'll say, "Oh, I'll keep it a secret," and then they go run and tell everybody. Or "You don't have to worry about this. This doesn't change how I think about." We talked about this week, guys. "This doesn't change how I see you," but all of a sudden, 4 weeks later, y'all get into a little row, and all of a sudden they use what they told you against them. You don't understand what I'm saying. That's the world we live in. But that's not what God does. And if you're one of God's people, that's not what you do. In fact, let me just put it out there. If you're the judgmental type, you are not going to have a really good time at this church, because that is not how we live our lives. The moment you judge means that you've forgotten how far God's brought you from. That's what it means. So be sure that you're doing everything you can to help somebody get to the next level. But God's Word is truth. He means what He says. He's for you. He's not against you. And sometimes how God allows things in our lives, it can act like maybe it's God against me. Like, is God a big old meanie pants? Like, no, He's for us, but we have expectations of how our lives are going to play out, and when they're not the same, it's a problem. Nothing can separate us from His love. These aren't just healthy expectations, but they're the foundation of Christianity, and that foundation has to be there, or else these promises and principles don't work for you. Okay? But there are times when our expectations of God get us into a pickle. But God, I heard you say this to me. Did He really say it? Or did your wishful thinking say it to you? God, you said this. Or, wait, this isn't how I thought it was going to happen. We've all made this error. We assign our expectation to God's plan. But you know what? We're in good company. A lot of people in the Bible have done this. So what I'm gonna share with you today is a passage out of Genesis 37. And if I had a title for this message, it'd be "Stop Squinting and Start Stepping." That would be "Stop Squinting and Start Stepping." Let me tell you what I mean by that here in just a second. My passage, Genesis 37, 1 through 11, it says this: "Jacob lived in the land of his father's sojournings, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was pasturing the flock with his brothers. He was a boy with the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah." That's some weird names, y'all. His father's wives, and Joseph brought a bad report of them to their father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any of his other sons because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a robe of many colors. But when his brothers saw that the father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him. Now Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. He said, hear this dream I've had. Okay, let me start right here first. I don't think it's like we have it sometimes in our minds, like he was sitting there with this little just peaceful smile. My lovely brothers, listen, therefore, to this dream that I've had. It was probably like, hey, listen to the dream I had. It's probably like that. Here's what he says. We were binding sheaves in the field, and behold, my sheaf arose and stood upright. And behold, your sheaves gathered around it and bowed down to my sheaf. His brothers said to him, are you indeed to reign over us, or are you indeed to rule over us? So they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. So then Joseph decided, well, that didn't work well. So he had another dream and decided to tell them about this one too, but this time in front of his father. And he says, behold, I've dreamed another dream. Behold, the sun, the moon, the 11 stars were bowing down to me. But when he told it to his father and his brothers, his father rebuked him and said to him, what is this dream that you've dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brothers indeed come and bow ourselves to the ground before you? And his brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept this saying in mind. See, one of Joseph's big mistakes was telling somebody, because you just can't tell everybody about the dream God's put in your heart. You can't. You got to find those 5. Remember, they love you, they love God, they know you, they know God, they have your best interest in mind. And I cannot stress that last one enough. Okay? That's who you tell your dreams to. But that's what Joseph did. There are too many people out there who just won't understand the dream because maybe just like Joseph, you don't understand the dream yet either. There's a lot of you in here that God's spoken some really powerful stuff to, some dream purpose level stuff to, but even you don't fully understand it yet. So the last thing we need to do is just go running our mouths about this big dream God's given us. You find some people that can help you get to the next step and you tell them. Now, there's no doubt that God spoke that to Joseph and that God planted that in his heart and that purpose in his heart. So here's what I'm encouraging you to do today. It's simply this. It's to stop squinting. That's the first point today. Stop squinting. Now, let me explain what I mean by this. Go ahead and show that picture. There you go. Can anybody read the words there? People in the back, can y'all read them? Okay. If you what you can? If you squint. Interesting. You played right into my trap. Okay, people in the front can read it like this, especially the young guys. Like, come on, man. Like, that's because y'all keep y'all cell phone words real low so people can't see what you're reading. See, God about to check y'all real quick. We're getting all your phones right after church. No, I'm kidding. But check this out. Look at what squinting is. All right, put up that next slide. It says, squinting decreases the amount of light entering the eye. This is scientific stuff. Blurring the periphery, thereby making it easier to see what the observer is intently focused on. That's why you squint. Okay? Trying to focus my eyes in, like, I'm trying to really see this thing. Well, Joseph had a dream. The brothers would bow down. The parents would bow down. How did he really expect that to go at the dinner table that night? Yeah, he was like, they're going to do it now. And why? Because I got the coat. My father loves me more than all of them, and all of them boys know it too. He ain't going to be mad at me. He's going to say, yes, Joseph, woo, woo, woo. But just like Joseph, we can lock our focus in on this dream that God has given us. But between the revelation and the implementation, we get lost in the expectation. Now, what does that mean? Here's the thing. Whenever you are squinting, okay, when you're squinting, what it does is it reduces your field of vision around you. But it does that so you can increase your focus on one thing. But what happens is when you focus so hard on that one thing, you lose the vision in your periphery. And as a result, you're incapable of seeing the big picture of what God really is doing in your life. Why is that so important? It's because when you are so focused singularly on that one point, you're not seeing the truck that's about to ram the side of you because it's blurry. We get so locked in. God will tell us something, and it's like all we're thinking about is that thing. And so we get really upset when we get sideswiped going to that thing because we didn't see it because we were so focused on the thing. Our vision was blurred to the right and to the left. You've heard God speak. You know you have a purpose. You have a good idea even of what that is. But then you get frustrated and overwhelmed and confused because what was first a dream all of a sudden now is becoming like a nightmare. You don't understand. I keep getting sideswiped, God. It seems like you want me to go this way or that way or this way or that way. Or in the middle of this walking this dream out, God says, hey, I'm going to need you to take a left up here. But you're so focused on that dream and the sides are so blurry that you don't know where to turn. That's what happens. Joseph had an expectation. So don't make the same mistake Joseph made. And that's placing an expectation on how God's plan for your life is actually going to be implemented. You don't know the future, do you? So what you've got to do is you've got to take one step at a time. Now, God's expecting you to take a good step based on your knowledge of the Word, how much you've been praying, how much you've been listening to His voice, and input from other people in your life as well. Y'all, that's a really big important thing, input from other people in your life. Okay, that's the plan that God is expecting you to take. But we got to be very careful that we don't assign our expectation to God's plan. So, there are some things, though, you can't expect. So let me hit you with those real quick. The first thing is you can't expect a battle. Whenever God shows you a purpose or a plan, whenever you say yes to Jesus, you can't expect a battle. Let me ask the kids something. Do y'all think that the devil wants you to say yes to Jesus? Of course not. Does the devil want you to do the right thing? Does the devil want you to love Jesus and go to church? Of course not. So do you think he's going to fight you? There's going to be a battle, guys. He's going to fight you tooth and nail. And it's going to be relentless. And guess what? It's going to be below the belt. You know what I'm talking about? Boxing, you're supposed to stay above the belt, right? Well, the enemy is a classic low puncher. He'll constantly hit low. All right? So he always starts the battle with an attack on what God told you, though. See, Adam and Eve, what did God say? Even Jesus Christ, when he was being tempted in the wilderness, he challenged Jesus. Did God really say this? So he's going to do the same thing with you. The second one is you're going to expect detours. Detours are a pain. I mean, I know we're trying to get around where we're going, but at what cost? Like, have you ever, we did this the other day. We were pulling up and the interstate was blocked because of something. I would rather be moving and take more time, you hear what I'm saying, than to just sit there in traffic. Anybody else? At least I feel like I got some control over the situation, right? That's it. How many times do we switch our navigation system off because we don't agree with the route that God has us on? You know, that's Siri. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She actually doesn't know what she's talking about. Use Google Maps, y'all. Okay. And another one is you can expect difficulties. You know, Joseph spent some time in jail, didn't he? Joseph spent some time in Potiphar's house where Potiphar's wife was not a nice person. Mean, nasty lady. Right? But sometimes I wonder why he had to endure those things. I think it probably knocked some of that arrogance that he had in his life off. He's pretty arrogant at the table. He's pretty humble when he's talking to the cupbearer later on in life. But it was the cupbearer, actually, that got him elevated to Pharaoh's house. Isn't that amazing? Like, y'all know the story. He was in jail. He interpreted the cupbearer in the bread maker's dream. The bread maker was going to get, and the cupbearer was going to be restored. He says to the cupbearer, whenever you're restored, be sure you tell Pharaoh about me. Please, like I'm dying here, right? And so that's what happens. But it took a year to do that. And so all of that happened. And then the cupbearer says, oh yeah, I knew this dude, blah, blah, blah. Isn't it interesting that the one that elevated Joseph to be able to accomplish his dream was found in a detour that he never wanted to be at in the first place? I'm going to tell you right now, church, there's somebody right now waiting in a detour that you hated taking that's going to help you elevate to the purpose that God has for your life. You got to be okay with that. If God is in control of your eternity, you better let him have control of your now. Okay. Now let me catch up here. Faithful. Stay faithful. Stay faithful. If you notice, Joseph didn't abandon God in the middle of his detours. Even when he was falsely accused, even when people stabbed him in the back, he stayed faithful. You need to stay faithful. You may not be to your destination yet, but your purpose is not something you do when you get there. It is what you've been doing all along. The destination just lets you do it at a bigger scale. And that to me is incredibly exciting because I think about my own life. In my own situation, I used to have this mindset that I wasn't really doing anything for God until I was leading the church. God called me to be a pastor. That was my dream. That was my focus. That was my purpose. And I'm not really doing anything for the Lord until I get there. Well, what about the 174 people that got saved the first year I was a youth pastor? Is that not worth anything? You see, I'm not doing anything now differently than I was doing the 22 years before I got here. It's just I'm doing it on a bigger scale now with a little bit more stress. But that's okay. We got teams to help with this. If you focus on what you are not getting, then you're going to miss what God's trying to give you. So, God is going to send situations just like in Joseph's life, and they're designed to do these three things. Number one, to eliminate what holds you back. God's trying to eliminate things that are holding you back. All right? Now, if I say, what's holding you back from your purpose? Some of you, at least, will instantly know something that's holding you back. Instantly. Do you think if that came to your mind that was the devil doing that? Oh, I should go ahead and, the pastor asked the question, I should go ahead and tell him what I'm using to hold him back. That's not how he works. No, that's the Holy Spirit revealing to you. Hey, do something about it. You have some things that need to go in order for you to achieve your purpose. What about the second one? Prepare for what lies ahead. You need to learn some things. I needed to learn some things. I asked God why he waited till I was 40 to plant a church. And he said, because I had to get some things out of you, but I also had to get some things into you. I would have destroyed it had he given it to me at a different time. And the last one is just to test his word in you. Now, man, this one was really impactful to me. There's a verse in Psalm 105 and 19. Until what he said came to pass, the word of the Lord tested him. Now, what does that mean? Here, let me ask you this question. Do you really trust what God said to you? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you just think maybe God said something to you, that's a whole different animal than for you to pin your life on that thing. Man, when it came to planting a church, I knew I was going to plant a church. You know where my doubt was? My doubt was dating the right spot. Okay? Because I never really heard God say, go plant a church in Dayton. Interestingly enough, he knew that we would be in Liberty. Now, will we ever move to Dayton? I don't know. That's God's business. I'm just supposed to be faithful to what I have right here. But what he did is God tested his word in me. Do I really believe what he said? All right, so let's go to the second one. Keep stepping. It takes faith to keep stepping when we can't see what God is doing. We've heard these verses like we walk by faith, not by sight, or faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So faith is the bridge between logic and that experience with Jesus. Okay, that's the thing. And there are going to be many moments along the way that aren't logical, but you're going to need faith when things get confusing. Anybody ever had to use faith when you're getting a confusing spot in your life? Holy moly. Yes, it can be incredibly difficult. God never called us, though, to understand every step. He just called us to trust him in every step. So if you're about to take a step and you don't know if you should do it, you need to just take a moment and remind your soul to trust in him. I was singing a song this morning, and sometimes I'll just random songs will pop into my head. And the song was, take hold my soul and trust in him. The waves and wind still know his name. I think it's some Hillsong song or something. I can't remember where it came from, but I wondered why in the world that was inside of me today. And I realize even now in this moment, there are times when I've had to tell my soul, listen, buddy, I know you don't know what to do. I know you don't know what step to take. I know you're scared, and I know you're afraid. But God told us this is what we're doing. See, what I think happens in that moment, we talked about this at the men's thing a little bit, that you have your body, your soul, and your spirit. I think your body wants to do what it wants to do. That's the flesh going, candy, or I want whatever. But then you have the spirit that's telling you, do the thing that the Lord told you to do. Be faithful. Stay strong. Stay planted in the Word. Keep praying. Keep doing this thing. Get around some people that can help you grow in your faith. Connect with the Lord. Listen to worship music. Praise him. That's what the Spirit tells you to do. But your soul's in the middle doing this. Like, doesn't know, he's caught in the middle. And sometimes I have to get in my spirit and tell my soul and my flesh what to do, because them jokers will try to run the roost. My flesh ain't going to go to heaven. My soul is going to be the one that goes to heaven. And I better be using my spirit to tell my soul who's boss. How the cow chews the corn, as we're in Southeast Texas here. That's what I've got to be telling my soul. And so sometimes, church, like Mom was saying earlier, like she was saying earlier about declaring, sometimes you've got to get into a place where you are frozen with fear, but you've got to tell your soul, you better take a step. And then you tell your body, you better move a leg, do something. You've got to get aggressive with you. Well, I don't talk to myself like that. You need to start. It's not being mean. It's allowing your spirit to take control. Sometimes, I don't know if you're like me, but sometimes I don't want to give God control. Sometimes I want to let my flesh do what it wants to do. Because typically what your flesh wants to do feels good in the moment. I really want to tell that lady off at Walmart that was talking all that crazy noise to me. I really want to honk at somebody because they cut me off. Well, come on, man. We live in the real life over here, ain't we? Maybe I need to command my soul to do some things. Kids, I'm talking to y'all too. I'm not just talking to the adults. Kids, I'm talking to y'all. When the teacher tells you to do something and you don't want to do it, you don't want to do your homework, you need to remind yourself that this is my job. I'm here to learn. I'm trying to make something of myself. I'm trying to be somebody, and I need an education to do it. Come on, kids, that's what we got to do. It's almost like taking a step outside your body and saying, you better get up and do some homework. I hear y'all saying no. That's the devil. That's the flesh. So, let me give you this last encouragement about your dream. Letting go of a dream is hard because it's easy to let your identity and your dream become the same thing. And I want you to know, when it came to lead pastoring a church, that became an idol to me. And I had to lay that thing down. I had to put it down, because if I didn't, it was going to consume me. And in fact, in some ways, it had consumed me. I became ambitious, and my ambition allowed me to take some steps that I really shouldn't have taken. But your purpose exists outside of some job or position you have. Well, I really want to be working in ministry, but I've got to work a secular job to make this thing happen. I understand. But maybe God's teaching you that you need to be doing your purpose now and not waiting for it to happen. I heard a pastor one time tell me about church growth. He said, don't be doing the things that you say you would do if you had 500 people or $10,000 more every month. Start doing them now at the level you can do them now, and then do them bigger when God allows you to grow. So I can't be waiting to do our vision and values until we get 250 people here. That's too late. What that means is that the culture is going to be trash, and all of a sudden I'm trying to redirect the ship, 250 people in? No. Do what you do with the small amount and watch God bless it, and you keep doing it. Don't be waiting. I really wish I could preach, or I could do worship, or I could do that. Yeah, that's great and fine. You can do that now. All right? Stand up on your cubicle. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that. But you know what? Every one of us has one thing in here. Most of us have social media in here. What if your social media stopped being about grappling about Whataburger and the Dayton train on 411, and it started being about how you could bless people and encourage people every day? What if it stopped being about, oh, look what I ate today, and start being about, look at what God did today? Now, I'm not telling you what to do with your social media, but if you've really got a heart to see the kingdom move forward, use everything that you have available to you right now to do that. God put you where you are for a purpose. Now, some of us made some dumb steps, and that's where we are, but God allowed that because there's something He wants you to do in that moment. Nothing is wasted with God. I said it at the men's meeting. God is like a Native American. He don't waste none of the buffalo. He takes every bit of it and uses every piece of it to do something great for God. So give God every part of your life and let Him make something beautiful out of it. I found that I had to trust God was big enough to get me where He wanted me. And I had to be faithful to focus on Him and not my expectations of Him. And I had to keep stepping anytime He shined light on a spot to step. When I did these things, I began to enjoy getting to my purpose, not just striving towards it. Can I tell you something? You may not be at your purpose today. You may not be at your purpose today. And that's okay. You may not be at your purpose. But you don't have to strive for it either. You can enjoy every step of the process. You know, I have to remind myself to remember how awesome it felt to have 60 people in a building. I don't want to get to 600 people if that's what God's plan is for us and forget the beauty of 60. Or hey, the beauty of 10 guys out around a cold campfire on a Saturday morning. God, don't let me forget that. Because see, when I start forgetting that stuff, I start squinting, not realizing that in the periphery there are conversations that are going on, like even at the men's meeting, conversations between men where they're getting to share their lives. And it wasn't the center focus point. It was just in the periphery, off in the sides, off in the wings. God changing people's lives. Guys, let's not forget that stuff. You know, maybe you say you don't have a clue what your plan or your purpose is. That's okay. The closer you get to Jesus, the more clear that becomes. So, when you pray, oh, Holy Father, no, forget all that. Jesus, I'm here. I don't have a clue what you want me to do with my life. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you every single day until you begin to reveal it to me. I'm going to get close to you. Everything I hear you tell me to do, I'm going to do it. Because I know if I'm obedient, then I get closer to you. So I'm going to be obedient. I'm going to do what you tell me to do. That's what we have to do. So whether you know the plan or not, God has a plan. And I want you to know it's going to come to pass. It's going to come to pass. Here's what I want you to do today. Would you just close your eyes for a moment, bow your heads? I just want to give you an opportunity to focus on the Lord for just a second. Here's what I want you to do. Whether you know what your purpose and plan is or not, it's important that you go ahead and give all that to Jesus right now. I had a conversation this morning about giving your life to the Lord, your whole life. Now, what is that? There are things in my life that are not just me. I mean, my family is my life. This church is my life. So what that means is if I'm going to give God my life, I've got to give him everything that's attached to my life. You know what that means too is it also means my hopes and dreams, my purpose. God's plan for me. So here's what I want you to do. If you have the courage today to do that, I want you to just lay it at his feet. Say, God, all the expectations, the hopes, the dreams, everything that I have about what you've called me to or what you will call me to, I lay them all at your feet right now. Maybe you need to confess that you've wanted your dream more than you've wanted God. So God, I want to correct that right now. I want to put you as the focus, you as the center point. God, forgive me when I've gotten frustrated at the process. Angry because it seemed like I was going backwards and in circles, and realizing, God, that sometimes I was going backwards and in circles, but you are going to get me where you want me. God, that if I can trust you with eternity, then I can trust you with my purpose here in this life as well. And lastly, God, will you give me courage? Give me courage, Father, to stay the course that you have for me. Not to gripe and complain and lose my temper whenever things don't go my way, but to embrace the opportunities that you have for me. God, that even a step that's not expected is just an opportunity in your eyes. Help me see that as well, Father. In Jesus' name I pray.